Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co-host, Ash. So, we're here to talk about F1 Academy, aren't we? 2024.
Yes. Breaking news.
Yes. Well, I mean, it came out yesterday, but reasonably breaking news.
Yeah. Well, we need time to digest it. But yeah, so for the 2024 season, all the 10 Formula One teams will have one driver and their livery on a car competing in F1 Academy.
Yeah.
Which is really good news. It makes it feel like it's less of an offshoot and part of Formula One. It's going to help bring more women into the sport because the academies are going to be set up to include female drivers, which means they're like, oh, she's really good. Maybe we should try her out in the Formula One car.
Give her a free practice session type thing, whoever it is. But yes, so if you don't know what on earth F1 Academy is for some reason, F1 Academy is currently a 15 driver championship, and it's set to stay that way for 2024 as well. But it is exclusively women who are driving in this championship. And that's pretty much it. It's nothing else out of the ordinary. At the moment, I believe there are 5 teams with 3 different drivers each, making up the 15 drivers. And I would love to tell you all about the fantastic racing and stuff like that. But of course, it's been a struggle to watch any W Series F1 Academy related stuff. Sorry, not W Series. Any F1 Academy related stuff this season. So hopefully this will also mean that it's even easier to watch for fans, especially because I think that the aim of this series is for it to be a support series next year in 2024, meaning that it will be on the same weekends as the Formula One race weekends, a bit like F2 or F3 or the Porsche Super Cup as well. So I think it's really, really good that essentially all 10 Formula One teams have decided to chip in type thing and support this series as well. And not only is it going to be good, promotion for all 10 of the Formula One teams, or 11 or 12, depending on what on earth happens in 2026, but also it's going to be good to see the support for this series as well grow, because hopefully it's something which can grow, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a step in the right direction. I think it's going to set up, if they don't have driver academies beforehand, some of these teams will need driver academies for the drivers. And if they do, well, it's opening up to more drivers, essentially, more female drivers as well, which is good. Having the liveries on there makes it feel a little bit more legitimate and less, I don't mean this in a bad way around F2 or F3, but it doesn't feel like it's F1 because they are essentially their own racing series and their own sponsors and own cars.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Whereas if you have the liveries on these cars, it makes it feel more F1-esque and maybe lends a little bit more weight and credence to the sport doing more for women in motorsport. So I hope it then allows more women into motorsport in terms of engineering and strategy and team principles and everything like that. And the big key thing is, will we get it on TV?
I sure hope so, or at the very least, it's on F1 TV. That would be a step in the right direction at the very least. But hopefully, this will be the end, or next season will be the end of the licensing issues. Seemingly, hopefully, we can get that sorted. But they're talking about this more as a long-term option for like women in motorsports, which is really good because obviously W Series, which was around for 6 months, was it? No, 6 months for one season and then a full season the season before, and Jamie Chadwick essentially won both. I mean, hopefully it lasts a bit longer than W Series as well.
It'll be interesting to see what they mean by liveries. Is it just an orange for a McLaren, a red for a Ferrari, or are they including sponsors in there? Because if they are, sponsors are like, if we're on there, we want to be shown on TV. Or is it more, we've got the Ferrari badge, we've got the red Ferrari, we've got Ferrari on the wing or McLaren on the side, etc.
I'm imagining it would be almost like female football teams compared to male football teams. So they will have the same kit sponsor or the same engine supplier in this scenario. And then let's say, for example, I know that the Liverpool women's football team was sponsored by Nivea. But then like that was their shirt sponsor, I believe, off the top of my head anyway. But then the men's was Standard Chartered. And so essentially I imagined that it would be something similar where some would stay the same, but then some would be tailored maybe for more of a female market, maybe. I don't really know.
Or is it just we've got the livery, but you have your own sponsors on there?
Yeah.
And maybe that might attract more sponsors, like if they're on a Ferrari car, a McLaren, a Mercedes.
True.
So that could be something good, but it's a step in the right direction, which is good.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see how it came about, because I know Stefano has been talking about, I wonder if it's like the brainchild of Susie Wolff or something like that. It'll be good to understand more behind how this decision came about, but it's a good decision. It's a step in the right direction, and hopefully they'll continue to make steps in that direction to legitimize that sport.
Yes, absolutely. And by the looks of things, 10 of the drivers of the current 15 this season will be nominated by Formula One teams, and each team will have their livery on the car, is exactly what it says. So essentially, I think that now the teams will also have a little bit of a silly season battle going on where they will have to try and sign one of these incredible drivers as well. So that could make for quite interesting, play, I guess, because I know that, for example, for Rodin Carlin, who is one of the W Series teams, they are sponsored by Alpine, or there's a very close association with Alpine, and they have 3 drivers. So which one do they pick? You know, maybe Alpine are, the main sponsor, but then BWT come in and they decide to sponsor a second driver. So one of the remaining 5 drivers, you never really know. So that could make for like very interesting.
Well, hopefully that could mean, you know what? Instead of 10, we make it 20.
Yeah, they might extend it. I don't really know. But like I said, I just knew that they had some sort of pre-existing relationship, and I also know that Ferrari have a pre-existing relationship with Prema as well. So Ferrari will probably pick one of the 3 Prema drivers as well, and obviously with Ferrari being part of it as well, that means that more than likely one of these Prema F1 Academy drivers will also be representing Haas as well. So there's some easy links and stuff like that you can potentially make essentially through all of these teams, which is quite interesting. But it's either way, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly what happens. And like I said, hopefully one of these teams like manages to pick up one of the best ones, and we get our first F1 Academy world champion, but it's for the team. So can you imagine if like Haas were constructor champions for this or something like that? It could throw up some real surprises. I'm looking as well at the same time. I know that Art Grand Prix are also sort of backed a bit by Sauber, so Alfa Romeo as well. So Alfa Romeo are sort of tied to at least one of their drivers as well. So this is what I mean. There are quite a few links already there between Formula One teams and these F1 Academy teams as well. So I think there are some safe bets and there are some which are completely up in the air. But we'll have to wait and see.
Let's wait and see. Yeah. And as of 2024, F1 Academy will be at every race weekend.
Everywhere? What? So all 24?
All 24 races, yeah.
Okay, wasn't expecting that.
So, and in 2024, the F1 Academy calendar will be aligned with F1. Domenicali said on Sky Sports F1. F1 Academy will be on the racing weekend with Formula One. Of course, not everywhere, but that'll be a part of the plan to promote the Formula One Academy.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So like it would be like F2. Sometimes with Formula One, there is no F2 associated with the weekend. So I don't know how many F2 race weekends there are actually. How many F2 race weekends are there? So F2, there are 14 rounds.
Okay, so it could be something similar.
Probably something similar. Or it could be that we have the 14 rounds of F2, and then the 10 rounds which they don't go to is where F1 Academy go.
Oh, that's a very good shout.
So that essentially you just replace F2 with F1 Academy.
Yeah, so there's always something every race weekend.
Yeah.
But at least they're there on the race weekend. So
yes.
That means that hopefully people will at least be able to see it live.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then obviously
in the right direction.
Obviously, if it's then aligned with the rest of the calendar as well, that means that more than likely, that it would be on F1 TV.
Well, I wonder if F1 TV would do something a la Drive to Survive. So just show
F1
behind
TV,
the scenes.
They have a series about F2 drivers.
Okay.
It's called like
I don't know. Unfortunately, we don't get F1 TV in the UK. So
it's called like Chase the Dream or Chasing the Dream. Chasing the Dream. That's what it's called. Right. So they do something like that for F2 already. The latest episode, season 5, episode 10, is 10 minutes long. So it's like mini episodes, or not mini episodes, but short episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, if they could, because look how popular Drive to Survive has made the sport, and if they could do something similar for F1 Academy, again, steps in the right direction. So
absolutely,
it could be something that F1 TV. But then this is where you go. Okay, we're going to put some budget in. We'll produce it, but we'll hire female directors and female, all that. Female camera women and stuff.
Female content creators. And
exactly.
Something that always gets me, though, right, is how in men's football, 99% of the time, it's a man managing the men's football.
Yeah.
But then it's also a man managing in the women's football, typically. So, like, maybe they also say, hey, directors, like all team bosses type team principals, maybe they all have to be women as well. There could also be some sort of thing around that too. I doubt it, but I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
That's down to experience, right?
Yeah, true.
They've not had the opportunity to build the experience to become a team principal.
Yeah.
There's someone like, who was it for Sauber? Manisha Kaltenborn? And who was the one for Williams? Her daughter's name?
Claire Williams,
yeah. But maybe once they bring them up as engineers, as drivers, they'll have that experience and maybe be able to go on to become team principals and race engineers and performance engineers.
Maybe that's
etc.
Maybe that's something that Claire Williams comes back and does.
Yeah, that could be something.
Especially Williams are going to be supporting one of the drivers and one of the racing teams.
Yeah.
So that would actually make sense.
That would make sense.
But you never know. But either way, absolutely positive news and steps in the right direction for sure.
Yep. Look forward to being able to see something.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we can actually watch some racing, which would be absolutely amazing. And speaking of steps in a different direction, we also have a confirmation from Ferrari that Laurent, I don't know because it's Italian. Is he Italian or is he French? I don't know. Anyway, this bloke, whatever.
Laurent Mekies,
he is leaving Ferrari. He's gone. Essentially, he won't be at the Belgian Grand Prix, which is happening this weekend. Yeah. He was there for 4.5 years, and they had 7 wins over those 4.5 years, which is not a great statistic for Ferrari. So he's leaving, and he will be going to AlphaTauri.
Yes. Does he then start straight away at AlphaTauri, or is it like a handover period?
So I believe
is he in gardening leave?
I believe he will go on gardening leave, and because it was such an important position, I believe it will actually be until the end of the season.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. It's because he was supposed to leave at the end of the season, but they've obviously pushed this forward.
Yeah,
And now he
maybe.
leaves practically midway.
I guess
So,
because he's going to AlphaTauri, and maybe this is me reading too much into it, because he's going to AlphaTauri, which is part of the Red Bull organization. They don't want him giving any key information to the Red Bull organization. However,
makes sense.
that being said, Ferrari is an utter shambles at the moment, so I highly doubt that there's much key information that would be worth Red Bull even listening to at this point. So, you know, the New York Yankees aren't going to listen to somebody playing like Sunday League baseball in a park in Shropshire. So this is what I mean. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a formality. Maybe it's something they have to do.
or maybe, like I said, if they're focusing on next year's car, let's just say they're starting now.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no point in you being in the team, knowing what we're working on, etc. So that there could be something like that. They're working on next year's car. They're like, look, time for you to step down, go on gardening leave, and then you'll be team principal of AlphaTauri next season.
Yeah, I think that pretty much could be it. So,
it'll be interesting to see
go.
if the new sporting director, I don't know how to say his name, see if he makes any immediate changes. Do we see the strategy change and pit stops become better?
Who knows? Got absolutely no idea. But hopefully this is nothing against
Diego
him.
Iorvono is the new sporting director.
We'll go with Diego because I'm going to slaughter that last name. I do apologize, Diego.
I probably already have.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, I think that hopefully this will be a good step in the right direction for both teams, both Ferrari and AlphaTauri. But obviously time will tell. But also, if you're him, I bet you're probably glad that you aren't going to Spa this weekend because it is raining. It is raining. Since we recorded the last episode, the weather forecast has obviously completely changed, and now it is literally going to be a very, very wet weekend. And I swear to God, because I was so close to booking tickets, if I have dodged a bullet, I will be the happiest man alive, because I have a funny feeling that something similar could potentially happen. Because looking at the rain, it's not good. It's really not good. So, but we'll have to wait and see.
We shall wait and see. Are you getting scary flashbacks?
Honestly, yeah. As soon as I saw...
We keep teasing the story. We'll have to talk about it post.
I can do it now.
Do you want to do it now?
Shall I just do it now? It'll take 10
minutes.
Let's
do it
We've been recording for 17 minutes. We'll try and stop by 30.
Because we've talked about it in nearly every podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody about your first ever Formula One circuit experience in 2021?
Story time with Jacob. Right. So essentially, 2021 obviously was the year of the not Belgian Grand Prix where it was cancelled. And guess who was there? This guy. So
for his first ever race.
For my first ever proper Formula One race, I decided Belgium, Spa, one of the best tracks you could possibly go to. Why don't I make that the track that I go to? So I drove down from Denmark. I drove all the way through Germany. And I was planning on going to the Nürburgring on the way as well. So on the way to Spa, I'll go to the Nürburgring, I'll do a lap or two, and then head on to the Grand Prix weekend. So I get to the Nürburgring and I can't even drive because it's raining too much. So, and literally there was no other chance because of when I was planning on going to and from and the track time openings and stuff like that. I missed my only chance because it was raining. So I didn't get to go on the Nürburgring. Right? So I'm already annoyed. I'm already pissed off. So I then go down to Belgium, right? I stay on the edge of the border between Germany and Belgium because of COVID guidelines. I could stay within Belgium, but only for less than 24 hours. So it was easier for me to stay in Germany. And then I had to get up and get to the track to get a negative COVID test to enter the event, even though They told me it would take up to 6 hours to actually get your negative COVID test results back, right? So I've gone, okay, great. So if I want to be in by 12, I need to get my COVID test at like 6, 7 in the morning. So I booked my COVID test for 7 in the morning, right? And within 20 minutes, I get the response back. Like, I did not need to be there that early whatsoever. And obviously it was negative anyway. I had to have a negative COVID test to travel into Germany as well at the time, I think anyway, or at the very least it was like good for me to have one that said I was negative. Anyway, so the weather's not too bad on the Sunday morning. I've just got my COVID test. It's like 7:38 in the morning, and I'm like, right, well, I'll go in and have a look around, see if I can, not like reserve my spot, but like go and find somewhere to be. And then once I got in, it got really windy and really cold, and it started to rain. But it wasn't like torrential rain. It was like that weird drizzle where like all of a sudden you're just completely drenched head to toe. So I'm like, I should probably go back out to the car so that I can grab my bigger coat, because for some reason I didn't grab my bigger coat. And when I go to leave, I'm told that I can't leave because there were ticket scalpers or something like that. I still don't fully believe exactly what happened, but I couldn't get out. So I only have like a smaller jacket on and like a hoodie. So I then have to go to one of the merch stands and I have to spend money. I think I bought like an umbrella and another jacket. And I think I spent like €100, like something like that, just to stay warm. And it literally rained the entire day. And I believe I was there, like I said, from like 8 in the morning all the way through to like when the Grand Prix was supposed to start at about 3 o'clock. So I saw like some of the F2 and F3 go round as well. And it was really weird when those F2 and F3 cars go around. I think it was F3 that came around first, but I was literally sat in the forest for like 2 hours shivering underneath this umbrella trying to stay warm. And then all of a sudden you just hear this like really, really loud noise come through the forest behind you. And it's the F3 cars, and just all of a sudden your heart warms up, and you're like, "Oh right, okay, it's go time! Like let's get up and start enjoying some racing." The F2 and F3 were absolutely amazing. It was really, really good to watch those. And then obviously you then go back down to sitting, and then all of a sudden the driver parade come round. As for that, it's building, and then when the cars come around, and I'm like, right, brilliant, they've done their warm-up laps, and then, it's been red flagged. Okay, it'll be like half an hour. Cool. All right, I'll go back to my little spot. I'll sit and I'll wait. And then another half an hour goes past, and then another half an hour goes past. And then they say, we're going to aim to do a rolling start or whatever it was at this specific time. And also, instead of trying to run the whole Grand Prix within this 3-hour window, we're going to throw that out the window because why not? And we're going to try and get like a full running session. And the fans were like, "Oh, brilliant! Like, hey, that's absolutely amazing."
We can wait for that.
It had already been like 2 hours of nothing, and then they came around again once, and they went straight back into the pit lane. After I think I was there for like 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. And then Max got out of the car, and he had his photo taken with the Honda representative that they had in the garage that weekend, because it was some sort of strategic partnership with Honda, and they had like the 200th Grand Prix or something like that with their partnership or whatever it was. So they had a photo taken essentially. And as soon as I saw that, I knew that they 100% weren't going to go racing again. And it was just horrible because we didn't see a race at all, although technically we did. Nikita Mazepin had the fastest lap of the race, which is just hilarious no matter how you put it. So technically it's quite funny that I was at the race where Nikita Mazepin had the fastest lap award, which then got taken away from him, by the way, because it wasn't a proper race. And then the obviously the aftermath was that we weren't going to get a refund, even though we didn't see a race, but we didn't. It was it was
they
just
said they'd done a certain amount of laps for
it was just
points.
The most horrific weekend possible. Like, the organization was awful. It was cold. It was wet. It was just horrible. And then to not even get a refund was just horrific. There's no other way of putting it. And from that experience, I genuinely don't think I will ever go to Spa again. Purely based on that experience, it has put me off for life. And I don't really blame the FIA or anything like that, because like it just wasn't safe to race. In all honesty, it just wasn't. It was really, really wet. Spa is very, very tricky when wet, and it's very dangerous, so I don't blame them whatsoever. But at the same time, give fans a refund, or at the very least, give them money off for next year's ticket. You know, like if they'd have said, right, look, we can't give you a refund, but here is, if you quote your original booking number when you book next year's tickets, we'll give you even, honestly, if they'd have given 30% off, I would have considered it again. Like, that's all they had to do was just 30% off. And they could have even bumped the ticket prices up another 10%, and people probably wouldn't have even noticed, you know? Yeah. So, but yeah. And then I had to drive all the way back up to Denmark, which is like a 10-hour drive, I think.
Soaking wet.
Soaking wet. Well, luckily, obviously, I have heated seats in my car, which is brilliant. And yeah, it was not a fun weekend in all honesty. It just wasn't. So much better when we went to Austria the year after, and obviously when I went to Britain this year as well. They were much more enjoyable weekends. But I think that's enough of the PTSD for me, because it just wasn't fun whatsoever. So F1 organisers, if you're listening to this, boo you for not giving every one of those fans who really, really deserved a refund for sticking out in that weather, because that was completely ridiculous. So, yeah.
Were people leaving around you before it was officially
A couple of people left. But as soon as I saw the photo in the garage, I was like, yeah, I 100% know that's it. Like, there's no way that they would take that photo and stuff like that, even like if they didn't know something that we didn't know. And then by the time I got to the car, which is about 40 minutes later, and was like warmed up, and I think I changed my jeans as well because they were wet into like tracksuit bottoms or whatever I had in the car. I think I literally switched on the car, and then I got a message on my phone saying the race was cancelled, or the race was over by that point, and that was it. So like I definitely left at the right time, because I also skipped out on a decent amount of traffic too, which is nice. But at the same time, like, my God, it's just utterly ridiculous. I'm glad I left when I did. Get me home. This is, it just wasn't even fun. And like I said, I went for two things: to drive on the Nürburgring and to see the Formula One race, and I didn't do either of them. So not that year anyway. But yeah, so there we go. So hopefully we don't get as bad of a weekend this weekend, but who knows? The weather doesn't seem to be letting up, does it?
It does not. But yeah, hopefully we can get a race where it is wet and mixes it up, but they don't cancel the race, or it becomes stupidly dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we can get a safe and fun McLaren winning weekend.
Sorry you had to relive that again.
It's fine. I will do my best not to mention it too much for further forward, now that I've fully explained the story. And to anyone else who was there in Belgium, I'm so sorry, because that was not fun. We were in this together, and it's not on you, it's not on me. I'm sorry. Also, if you'd have had a spare coat, I really could have used it. Jesus.
I felt for you as I was sat.
Yeah, because I was messaging you through the entire thing, and it was awful. It was.
I was like, I'll try to give you updates if Martin Brundle and Crofty say anything, but
yeah, there was nothing.
There was nothing, unfortunately.
No.
So, oh well. Anyways, so to summarize it up, don't go to Spa when it's wet.
Nope.
Laurent Mekies is out.
Yep. And
Formula One Academy has taken steps in the right direction by having the 10 Formula One teams have a livery and a driver for 2024.
Exactly that.
So how long was this mini podcast? Because we were only supposed to keep it short.
29 minutes, just about to tick over to 29 minutes. So literally, I think 30 minutes is perfect, easily consumable, and we should maybe do some more of these in the future when little bits of news pops out.
Big news, we'll pop something out. But cool. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next time with our Spa review.
We will.
And I was going to say preview the next race, but it will be the summer break. But we'll have some cool episodes in between then. But thank you for listening. Please do like, share, subscribe if you want. We're available on all podcast platforms.
Your preferred podcast platform.
Your preferred podcast platform. And if you do have a spare race jacket, someone might want one.
Yeah, honestly, there should be like bins around Spa with just like free jackets that you can borrow, because it was horrible, honest to God. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Much appreciated. Please be sure to rate the podcast as well. And be sure to check us out on YouTube too if you haven't already, or if you're watching on YouTube already. But that's it. Cheers, everyone.